Alright. So, hello everyone and welcome back to the Common Reviews podcast. As always, you're joined by me, Aaron, and this is season 4, episode 7, I believe. So this is another episode on the interview series, and today I have another exciting guest to have some engaging conversation with. So, my guest today, from small beginnings in Vigo to the dynamic cities of London and Madrid, my guest today has been on quite an inspirational journey to achieve his dreams. 2 degrees later and a tenure as CEO already, he now stands as a young entrepreneur, co-founder and CEO of his new company. And so today I'll try and understand the journey that has led him to this place and what he plans on doing in the future. So it's my pleasure to introduce Manuel. How you doing?
Thank you so much for inviting me here. A really good introduction, actually.
I try and give all my guests like a little bit of an introduction at least, so they can feel comfortable, but also it gives everyone an idea of who you are as well at the same time.
Okay. Send it to me. I'm gonna start saying that whenever I'm on the beach. For VCs,
By all means. I can even refine it and make it better if you want.
No, perfect. No, thank you so much. I mean, I think we were in the same class at King's, right? Yeah. At King's College. But yeah, I'm from Vigo. It's a little small city in the north of Spain, northwest actually. And basically, I studied industrial engineering. I moved to Malaga to finish my first degree. And as you said before, it wasn't enough with just 1 degree, and I wanted to have a second one. This one in physics. From the first year in engineering, I already knew that I should have been studying physics. But yeah, it was fair. It was useful as well. So I moved to London. I was doing a second undergraduate physics with specialization in astrophysics, I think. And after 2 years, I was in the top 3% of the class. But to be honest, my plan was to do a PhD, in Caltech. That was the plan. That was like the master plan. Yeah. But after second year, I looked at everything. I looked at the PhD life and everything, and I said, look, I'm a really social guy. I love to network. My family, all of them are like entrepreneurs, and me too as well. When I was 20 years old, in the middle of engineering, indeed, I created this kind of NPO called Quantum Society that we put together like freaks like me, STEM students, if you prefer, it's the same, and technology companies and institutes like NASA. We had the president of NASA in Spain, the best companies, Hyperloop TT, we called the CEO. We visit these companies and everything. Yeah. So, and I was basically the CEO as well. We were 50 people working for free. So from the very beginning, I knew that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. It was inside my heart.
It was ingrained within you. Yeah.
Exactly. So after the second year, I was like, okay, I have really good grades, but this is not for me. The academia is not for me. Physics is for me, but not academia, right? I dropped out. After the second year, really, like everybody was shocked. Yeah. The professors, my friends, I went to all of them and said, "Hey, man, I'm finished. Yeah. I'm done here. This is not for me." I learned a lot. To be honest, I went to London as well to learn English because I had the basic level and I improved it a bit. And after I moved back to my city, to Vigo. Yeah. And I started working in the family company, in the family business called Locatel. Locatel is a GPS provider, not just the hardware, but also the software. So it's a fleet management company. Yeah. Really big in Spain, 35,000 vehicles work with their technology. Yeah. One of the clients is Amazon, for example. So it's a really big one. And I was selling GPS devices. Truck drivers. So one by one, I went, traveling because they are not the biggest and the smartest guys in the world, So it was really funny to go to people with 20, with 10, with 5, with 100 trucks and try to sell this, being an engineer. So it was really, really, really fascinating for me because I saw how actually life works, right? Like you have to prove yourself. So it was really, really interesting. And right after, I was there a year and 8 months. And as you can start to see my pattern, each 2 years I need to do like something,
more
new. More cooler. Yeah, not only, maybe not new, but at least more interesting. For example,
like leveling
now,
up. Yeah.
Exactly, next level, right? So a year and a half ago, that's why I'm saying this, because this was a year and a half. So now it's really the new cycle. We started this company called Ad Cities. Ad Cities is basically a Google Ads of out-of-home advertising.
Yeah.
To explain this, out-of-home, it's everything, all the advertising that is in the bus stops, in the buses, right?
In the public eye. Yeah.
Exactly. Even in the malls and all this as well. But yeah, basically everything that it's not in your phone or in your television or radio.
Yeah.
And always this has been sold like super manually through emails, calls, thanks to the media agencies like Havas, Publicis, and all this. There's like big 6 companies that have 90% of the budgets around the world. The problem is it's super manual, so it's impossible to scale this. And secondly, there's no metrics at all. You don't know how many people have seen your out-of-home ads. Yeah, and it depends. Maybe some of the media have their own kind of metrics because they use Wi-Fi or Bluetooth detectors, things like that. But it's super tricky. It's not like there's not a unified version or something like that. So I was super interested on all the things that we were doing in Locatel, in the family business, about GPS, geospatial information. And I saw that we were like a super big provider of data, but we were selling it to people with a really low gross margin, that are transport people, right? So I was thinking about, what if we take all this data and we create a new product to another industry. In this case, it was advertising, but it was not my idea. It was basically after a conversation with one of my best friends. He's 10 years older than me. I'm 25. He's 34 or 35. From Vigo as well. This guy is Jacobo. He studied in England, engineering. And he moved to Philadelphia to create his first startup. That it was basically a company that tried to see churns, or the statistics on the churns in big companies. Like Tinder, for example, was one of his first clients. And if you have such a big company with 5K people, it's impossible for the HR guys to see the possibilities of this socio-demographic profile with this role, with this position in the company, probably is going to leave the company in 5 months. So with machine learning, he did this in 2012. He sold the company, he created a new one. He was Forbes 30 under 30 in America in 2020. So for me, it was like, gee, this guy is from a city. What the hell is going on? I want to be like that guy, right? I want to learn from that guy to be,
and that's such a breadth of knowledge to have accessible to you, and there's so much to learn from as well.
Yes, exactly. So it was like a mentor, right? So I started to hang out with to start like chatting with the guy, and not working, because I was in London already when I started to have like chats each week or during the summer, because he lives in LA, but he spends a lot of time during the summer in Vigo as well, like me. So when I was not at King's, I was in the summer. During the summer, I always like loved to talk to him. And so a year and a half ago, I asked him, like, man, we have a lot of data in our company, but I think that we are not with the right clients, in the sense that we can't scale this even more. The company is working, and it's going to work in the future, but it's, what if we do something new? And he gave me this idea of, look, in America, nowadays they are putting advertising, out-of-home advertising on cars, on Uber or taxis and so on. And the good thing is that they are not selling the spaces, they are selling the impressions, because they are integrated with the GPS of the vehicle, and we buy the SDKs of the mobile phones. So we cross it with machine learning, and they create dashboards, interactive dashboards.
Right.
So you can see heat maps, you can see socio-demographic information, and you can give them to the advertisers. And I was like, gee, I love this. A lot of budgets in these companies, in this industry, sorry. I know about data, I know about GPS, so let's do it. And yeah, so we created this, and we started with literally that idea of putting ads on cars and measuring. But now we are doing something much general. Like, we saw that the problem of selling and measuring was across the whole out-of-home spectrum. So we created the same experience like Google Ads. So in Google, you have a platform, you join, you put the CPM you want, you pay, and you measure, right? We did the same. We say, why don't we use this data from measurements to plan your future campaign? Why you can buy directly, even if it's an offline ad with a digital like Airbnb, right? And then we can measure with this awesome dashboard, interactive dashboard with real-time data, and see how the campaign evolves. And that's ad series basically. So we plan to be the Google Ads of out of home, and hopefully Google Ventures buy our company.
That's the pipeline dream.
That's maybe I mean, or even better, right? But that's one of the aims,
the end goals. So thanks for that general summary. And so what I want to do sort of is just dive into like each aspect of that sort of in a briefish sort of way, and like really let people understand how you kind of went through those processes. So you spoke about your time at Malaga University, and where you did your BSc in Industrial Tech and Engineering. So what sort of led you to do that? I know you said the minute you started that degree, you kind of realised that it was physics that you should have been doing. So how comes you went into tech engineering first, and then...
Why, right? Why did I decide to go there, right? And not do a MBA, for example, right? All my family, they are like business people, not a single one that is an engineer. I was the first one. So, to be honest, because I was a freak. I was always the number one in class, and I enjoyed with physics and maths, particularly with physics, even though the professor was not so good. At the beginning, I wanted to do physics, but then I said, look, this is gonna be super crazy, relativity, quantum physics. What the hell I'm gonna do? How the hell I'm gonna pay the rents? That was my first. So I said, look, let's do something that it's like physics, but you can apply it to the real world. Literally, that was the thing. And I said, look, I mean, I'm good in physics, so probably I'm gonna be good in engineering. So that's to be honest the thing. And now I'm super happy to have done that. It gives you a super pattern, or you can see patterns. You have a super ordered, or you have hierarchies inside your brain so you can find really quickly the root of the problems and solve them. And that's something that not everybody can do. I
very
see it,
valuable
right?
skill.
Exactly. You talk to some people, and for you it's obvious to see the problem, and they just see the output, right? They just see the big thing, and it's like, look, the problem is not because of this; it's because of this thing in the middle.
It's a small intricacy that you wouldn't be able to spot otherwise.
Exactly.
Exactly.
So
I'd say it's the same thing actually. Again, that's probably one of my most motivating factors when it came to doing physics. I enjoyed physics more than math, but I loved the application nature of physics in general, which was, you have the theory, but then you're also applying it in real time. Now, again, like you, I have the same thing with you. I realized very soon on into university, I'm not an academic, this isn't something I can pursue further, but I definitely understand that pattern recognition you're talking about. It gets drilled into your head, and you are able to pick that up a lot quicker than other people are. So now I completely understand that. And so you said you realised then that it was physics that you should have done. So then you obviously did your degree at Malaga, and then you came to King's. So funnily enough, the last two guests I've also had, they both went to King's as well. So it's one of my favourite questions to ask everyone is also, what was your experience at King's? And in particular, what was your experience of the uni? And also, what was your experience of the course itself?
Okay, probably in comparison with my other fellows, they didn't go to a different 2 universities before, so that's good because I can give a comparison, right? I can compare. So yeah, basically where I was in Vigo and Malaga, there were public universities, but public universities in Spain is nothing in common with a public university in the UK. Okay, just what you pay 100 euros per year to do an engineering degree. 100 euros, so it's like free, right? In my first year, because of my academic records in bachelor, it was free, so I just paid 2,400 euros for my whole industrial engineering degree, right? So it's insane. And indeed, the reality is that it's, of course, universities are super good in Spain, and in the sense that the level is so good, it's really high. Indeed, it was much higher than in at King's, but that's not good in the sense that it was harder, but maybe we weren't learning that much. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So one of my biggest annoyances with in terms of King's as a whole, I loved King's as a university. I liked where it was. I liked the opportunities it provided, but as a physics degree, I didn't like it at all. I thought the way in which we were made to learn didn't promote learning, because the exams were so heavy weighted, and also the way in which there was like inconsistencies with the lectures. I'm not sure if you found that as well, but I thought the process in which we were made to learn didn't foster actual learning of physics. It was just trying to cheat the system in a way of like, how can I get the best grade, not how can I learn the best. And
of course, but it's not only King's, huh?
No, of course not. But I think out of the London universities, especially that do teach physics, King's has one of the worst physics departments. From what I've heard and the way I've spoken to people, King's just doesn't have the same development of your own interest in physics.
It depends, of course, in the professor. With Paco and other people were also...
Yeah, they were great. But then you have someone like Lev or Furkan, which I personally didn't like, and I couldn't stand their lectures.
With others were really bad, and so the thing is, I didn't just get that from King's, to be honest. So for me, the part of learning, to be honest, it's inside you, man. If you want to learn, I was always watching the Walter Lewin lectures and all these things, and I bought my own books, so I learned. I didn't need to have a good professor in front of me, because I could find it everywhere, right? We are not in 1600s, right, or something. The point is, what it was really cool about King's, and it smashed my previous universities, was the surrounding thing about not only, I mean, apart from lectures, all the things about the buildings, the environment, the London thing. Like
I love where King's is situated in London. Like, you look out the window and you see everything a tourist would want to see.
It's awesome.
It's amazing.
Awesome. The ex-BBC building that now it's Bush House, the Vault, right, that is a disco. When we have the World Cup, everybody was watching it there. It was awesome, to be honest. And all the societies, I was in the rocketry team. I love that, to be honest. It's not like that in Spain, in any case, not in comparison. For example, the budget of the best university in Spain, I think it's like, I don't know, like 80 million per year, and we at King's we had like 1 billion pounds. That is even more. It's insane. So 10x, 12x more budget. So it made a difference.
Yeah, for actually. Sure. No, 100%. Like you said, I absolutely loved the atmosphere. Like, the feeling of coming to King's was unmatched, and just being in and around, as you mentioned, the buildings or just the general atmosphere surrounding King's, I loved it. It was just a shame the degree I wasn't a big fan of by the end of it. But so I think, as you said, actually when you dropped that, it was also quite a shock, because I think I saw on LinkedIn actually when you posted about it, and I saw that and I was like, that's really surprising, because of all people I wouldn't have expected you to drop out. So again, you already mentioned it a little bit, but again, talk me through. So what kind of led you to that decision? Because I think dropping out of university for most people
it's big,
it's a massive decision, and especially when you did it. This was, I think, right before second year exams, so you'd done most of second year.
Indeed, I studied the good. The funny thing is that I studied for all the exams, and the day before the first exam, I decided to drop out. So that was the funny thing.
Yeah.
I studied for all of them. I could have smashed them. And indeed, that was my decision. If I had continued and passed the exams, probably I would have smashed them and I would continue the next year. So I decided to, cut it through the route directly.
Yeah. And would you say you had like one moment where you were like, yeah, you know what? No, this is it. I've made my decision. Let's move.
I'm gonna tell you, and this is really personal, but I'm gonna leave it here because I'm so open, to be honest. I could tell this to everyone. I don't care a shit. So I experienced a lot of things that year. I finished with my girlfriend. I never liked the weather in London, and it's not a joke. And the worst thing, of course, was that I saw that after month and after month, I had better grades. I was even better. I understand even better the materials and everything, and I was not happy at all. At the first year I was awesome, and in the second one I started to see that really I'm gonna spend my fucking whole life writing a paper that nobody's gonna read, and if someone is gonna read it by chance, probably it's not going to understand it. And if they understand it, probably they are not going to approve it, because if it's me, of course, it's going to try to destroy everything that it's done. So it was really hard. And to be honest, sometimes you have a really good or a really stable personal life or professional life. But when you don't have any of both, you are fucked. And to be honest, it was necessary for me. I say thanks to God, because I was really bad at both at that time. So after studying for all the exams, and each day I was like super out of the mood or whatever you want to say. You
were kind of just doing it for the sake of it. You were in a rhythm, but you weren't enjoying the rhythm.
It was just because I'm a super disciplined guy, as I say. I studied in 3 different universities. I always went to every single class, and I like it. But after that, I said, look, Manu, you're in a city that you don't like to live here. Your best friend was my girlfriend, is not anymore here. You have realized that you don't want to do a PhD, and of course you are doing physics because you wanted to be a PhD. So what the hell are you doing
what's
here?
The point?
And to be honest, it was literally one day I say, look, this is it. Fuck it. I called my parents. I was crying. I remember that day. I was crossing Charing Cross. After I was studying thermodynamics, and I was crying. And I called my mom, and she was like, "Manu, take a flight tomorrow." And I did it. Best decision in my life, to be honest. It was the most brave decision as well.
And there's 2 things there. It's first, you having the ability to have that objective view on your own situation. I think a lot of people could get carried away in the emotion of the situation and not be able to do justice to whatever it is that they want to do. But at the same time, it's also so heartwarming that your parents they could just see that it's not about the money, it's not about, what you're doing. It is, are you happy doing it or not? And I think I shared the same with my parents, where again, I had many moments during university where I just felt, I'm not enjoying this. Like, this isn't something that I particularly want to do. And my parents are like, no, man, at the end of the day, what you do, it's, as long as you're happy, that's all that matters to us. And, everything comes secondary to that. So the fact that your mum was like, get on a flight, come back, we'll sort out whatever it is, that's really reassuring to have that backing in the first place.
Totally. To be honest, I'm so, how can I say, so...
Grateful?
If you want. So I think that if my man hadn't helped me on that, probably I would have continued for, I don't know, ego, or I don't know.
Or just the rhythm, just for the fact of doing something that you were doing.
Exactly. Everybody's here, why not me?
Exactly.
And that day, I always describe myself like a random guy, as I say, or not random, sorry, like a special guy, in the sense that when I was doing engineering, all my friends were like, what the hell are you doing at NPO? You're spending your free time there. You have to study, blah blah blah. And I said, look, I study. I'm gonna pass the exams. I'm gonna understand it better than you. And the fourth, I'm gonna be doing something that is gonna help me in the future. And to be honest, and this is a fun fact, a month ago I was with the president of one of the most important associations in the advertising world, and here in Spain, the branch of the Spanish branch.
Right.
And I went there and introduced by a guy, and basically the president was like, I already know you. And I was like, what? I don't know you.
Wow,
I can swear.
Yeah.
And she was like, yeah, you were this guy from Quantum, what was the name? And I was like, Quantum Society. So she was a follower from for the last 3 years, and she learned science dissemination. How do you say science dissemination from me? So it was really, you know, like, man, it was because I was different. It was because I was
because you followed something you wanted to do, and you didn't listen to what other people said.
Exactly. And while my friends in engineering were like only thinking about passing the days and passing the exams and taking drinks during the weekend, that it's fine. It's of course really good as well. I'm going after. But at that time I was like, I want to spend my free time doing science and doing this thing that we finished being 50 people working for free from Latin America and Spain. It was insane, and it gave me a lot of power to understand my own, our possibilities as humans. And this is something that you are not gonna be given in the university.
It's not something that's taught. You have to get this through experience.
Never. Even again, in EP8.
I see some similarities between that and even just this podcast. Like, when I remember when I started it, it started off as like a sort of like a joke, something I wanted to do. But then I realized there's so much power in why I can take this. And it, like, for example, speaking to you right now, we didn't speak during university. We didn't have that sort of relationship. But being able to speak to you now through the power of this, it's something I enjoy doing. And I get to hear about you and your story. I think that's incredibly powerful. And so it doesn't really matter what anyone thinks about this. It's something I enjoy doing. And I don't, like, for example, when you were doing your Quantum Society, you didn't know that in the future you would speak to this president of something that you would eventually get into. The same way, like, I don't know where this could take me or where it could come around and benefit me. But again, it's just putting it out there, and it's just following something that you truly want to do. And I think that's like the main thing about your journey to me is you just did what you truly wanted to do, and you went all in to that. It wasn't half-assing anything. It wasn't, I'm not feeling it. No, I want to do this. I'm going to go do it. And it doesn't matter what I have to put behind it, because I will get the results. And you have that confidence within yourself.
Exactly. And you'll make it. As I say, to be honest, the best thing that you can do is, take a degree, study whatever you want, but do something by your own that it's really special for you. That could be, for example, I started in England to play the saxophone, and now I play in nightclubs for 2K people, 3K people, and I started 2 years and a half ago. So people think that I've been doing this the whole life, no, I started there, and it was my hobby. Indeed, it helped me through that hard times in London. The saxophone was like the best thing. And now, for example, I have a party tomorrow, for example, with the best CEOs in Spain, and they invited me, and I'm gonna play the saxophone. So
that's
they
incredible.
are gonna
Congrats.
they come to me, and they are gonna be introduced by themselves, because they think it's great what I'm doing, and after. It's like a pickup line, right? It's like, but I'm not a sax artist. I'm an entrepreneur, and this is Hatsit, this is my company. And they want to be with me because they feel the motion. It's different. I'm not like the typical guy. People love to be hanging out with different guys, right? And it's something that I do because I'm authentic, not because I want to be different. It's that I enjoy being different, or the way that I'm doing.
It's not even so much different. You just enjoy pursuing what truly makes you happy, and that does set you apart. And again, I would say I find that similarity within, because it's just, you're never going to be able to please everyone. There is always someone going to be critiquing what you do, and someone who's always going to put you down. And at the end of the day, you just need to do what makes you happy, and whether you see the results of that, nothing matters more. And again, people, I think, don't understand the importance of doing what makes you happy. Like, it's just a very throwaway statement, but it's your life, and as I think you're the proof of that, it comes around to help you in ways that you couldn't have imagined in the first place. So that is incredible. So obviously you then dropped out of King's, and you mentioned, so then you joined Lock Yourself Fleet Solutions, where you were working with GPS devices and selling that within. So you mentioned that was a family business. So is that something you chose to go into, or was this like an opportunity opened up and you thought, let me go do this?
Yeah, a really good question. Really good question. I always tell this while I introduce myself to new people. When I came back, from the very beginning, I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I was an entrepreneur. I didn't want to. I already was one. I just needed to recover, right? Yeah. From it was a big smash, right? I almost... it hurted a lot. So I just needed to put together all my pieces, right? Yeah. And I was going to get back with much more energy and focus and everything. So my first plan was to do something that I've never done before. I had never done, or I had never even thought about, that it was to have a not a gap year, but a
break. Yeah.
A break. Yeah. I didn't know how long. How long. The point was, so after 1 week, I think I was in Vigo, spending time reading books, blah blah blah, walking, alone. Always a lot of time alone. I needed to be with me. Yeah. This is funny. I wanted to visit a friend that it was in Valencia. Yeah. He's from my city, and I love this guy. He's really smart, and even though we don't talk a lot, I don't know. We have this kind of energy together, and so I love to spend time with him. And so I visited him. It was an excuse, right? Yeah. I mean, I'm free, right? So let's do it. Yeah. So I went there, and he was working during the days, so I had to be alone, right, during the days, and we just spent time during the nights. So I was walking and visiting Valencia, and I wasn't looking at buildings. Yeah. I was having business ideas. Yeah. While I was walking. It was like, shit. What if? But nothing related with buildings. Maybe I was like, shit. I had quantum society, and to be honest, normally people that are 18 years old are super lost, and they need to have a big brother. What if I connect people that are 25 years old and they already have a degree with these 16, 17, 18 people, like kind of a mentorship program, and I create the platform. Things like this, okay? Yeah. And the second day I had a different one, and I was typing the ideas. I went to my dad, I phone calling him because I was in Valencia each day, and the third day was like, Manu, come on, you're gonna go crazy. Stop, man. So literally after 3 days in Valencia, my mind was completely clear, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna be an entrepreneur. I am an entrepreneur, but I need to learn first about business. So I'm gonna take this opportunity. I'm gonna go to my dad, and I'm gonna say, hey, Dad, I want to be in your business, but as sales. Literally the worst thing that
the bottom rung.
Literally selling to truck drivers a GPS, and I was traveling through the villages in Spain with a car. That it was really funny because I have never been like in many different parts in Spain, in the center in particular, apart from Madrid. Yeah. So villages, man, with 1K people there and things like that. And trying to find with Google, most of the truck companies that are so small are not even in Google. So you have to ask people. Like, what the hell? I was doing theoretical physics like 3 months ago, and now what the hell?
You're driving through villages in Spain.
Insane, man. And I was like, man, this is gonna give me a lot of power in the future. I knew it. Like, man, this university that I'm doing now, it's priceless.
Yeah.
So after a year and a half, I started as a sales guy, then a sales specialist from the HQ, then product manager, and I finished being more. Well, my dad wants to say that I was the CEO, but I prefer to say I was the COO, right? I did basically everything. Yeah, I did everything, and my dad was the director, if you want. So
you were quite hands-on with the operations.
Exactly. So every single day with everything, sales, finance, product, everything. Yeah. I coordinated every single thing, and also the strategy. So I was also the CSO. And so I discovered, thanks to that, a lot of things that I didn't know. Like, what the hell is a payroll? What the hell is a working capital? What the hell is a strategy in the mid-long term? What the hell, how do you do a variable system or an ESOP, an employee stock options pool? What the hell? Okay, so I learned. And so that was kind of my fourth university, if you prefer, my third degree. It was my MBA with the truck drivers and everything.
And that's invaluable, actually, because it's one thing learning these things online in YouTube or whatever platform you find, but to have that hands-on experience is just a different thing altogether.
Different.
And also, when you are actually in charge of people, I mean, I'd say, obviously, when you started off in sales, that's, as you said, it's the bottom, it's like the bottommost thing. It's like the most fundamental thing. It's also probably the hardest thing as well, as you said, going through all of these random cities.
It is the hardest thing.
And sales, sales in any sector is hands down probably the hardest thing. And it's what people hate the most. But yeah, you said you obviously did that. But then to obviously work through different departments, so you almost had an internship of sorts. And I think that gave you that foundation. And again, I think that's very important for a lot of people that are starting off in whatever sector that is, whether you want to be in some sort of finance-related field or, whatever it is, you need to learn the fundamentals. And there is a massive difference between someone who has actively tried to learn fundamentals in whatever field they want to do, rather than someone who, has had a brief look and is just like, oh, yeah, I can do it, I can handle it. You really can't. You really need that foundational knowledge.
Yeah, so as you said, so that was the thing, and what I learned as well is, like, for example, the product management thing, and even the finance for me was like physics. Man, this is this theory you applied and you learn from feedback from the real world. It's easy for me to learn. The hardest thing was the sales part, because I knew I was really good with people, really good networker. In the quantum society thing, I was basically the guy that did all the cold outreach through LinkedIn, and we phone called the people. So it was literally the same thing, but with money, and with that pressure. And I discovered that it was the hardest thing, but I transformed it into like the funniest thing. So I enjoyed. It was my favorite thing, and I discovered that I had like a superpower there. Because I was really, 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 really good in understanding the technology, right? Normally, the sales guy is someone that is only really good with people. They invite you to have a meal with the client, and they sign it there. It was not my job, right? So I was the best understanding the product, and then with that in mind, I just understand the client. So what the hell do you need? What are your problems?
And I'm glad you said need, because it's that famous, sell me a pen thing. The point isn't literally sell the pen, it's sell the need for the pen. You need to understand from your client. Yeah, exactly. You need to understand what they're lacking, where their need is.
Exactly.
And if you know your product, you can make that product fit to that need. So you're not selling, as you said, like, I'm sure you agree to this, you could have gone to 10 different people and you would have sold your GPS 10 different ways to them. Even though it's the same product, you're selling it in 10 different ways. Yeah.
Imagine you go to one and he's a guy with none, knowledge at all, and he's just worried about what the hell are my drivers. Yeah. You're not going to start saying, man, the frequency of this thing is awesome. What the hell? But then, of course, maybe in the other side, this CEO of this big company says, hey, the IT team, come here. Yeah. And they're going to say, hey, what's the frequency? What's the latency? and I'm gonna answer it.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Because I knew it. But that's the difference. You have all the theory, you understand it, and then you have to, as you say, be so flexible.
Yeah, exactly.
And I loved it. And now that I'm doing a company, that I founded this thing, the ad cities. You see that 99% of the time, 99.9% of the time, you're selling, man. Yeah. But you're not selling to clients. You're selling, first of all, to your employees. Who the hell is gonna join a company that has zero, income? Secondly, to the banks, investors. Who the hell is gonna invest in something that it was a pre-seed? We did a financial round with absolutely no income, like zero income, before we have even the MVP. You sell to partners, you sell to providers. You're selling yourself, and when you sell yourself, they buy yourself. And they trust you. Yeah. And it's the same. And that's something that I learned thanks to the GPS. And of course, it depends on the industry. Some of them are fancier and others are harder. And of course, advertising is much sexier. So for me, now it's like selling candies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In comparison.
Yeah, it's so much easier. Yeah. Because again, like, I can imagine it's like the same as in the UK, or you used to have like door-to-door salesmen where you would go and sell just random products to people, and it's who you are. Can they trust you and your purpose? Exactly. The what you're selling is actually secondary, and that's not the important thing. The salesman matters more than what you're selling. Exactly. And again, you mastered the art of selling, and that enables you to sell whatever product you have in a different way.
Because I was selling myself.
Yeah, exactly. You're selling yourself, and you're selling the vision or the purpose, and you're creating that need within them.
Exactly. I was selling the vision, like in the case of the company, it's like the mastermind, if you want. Yeah. It's like the best example of that, because you're selling the vision of something that doesn't exist.
Exactly. Yeah.
And you create it, and suddenly your vision comes through, and suddenly everybody sees like it was obvious, but you were the only one at the very beginning that saw it as obvious. Yeah, and that's the magic, man. It's really cool. It's really cool to do it.
100%, and it's to be able to, as you said, to convince people to see that vision and have faith in your trust. It's the trust, even if they're not able to see it in the beginning, which a lot of people aren't.
Exactly.
It's having faith in you as a person to be like, no, he has a vision. He's passionate about the vision. That's someone I can follow and hope that in the future that materializes into something, which I think is what happened in your case for sure.
Exactly. And it's not about numbers. It's not about numbers. Normally, when someone was starting asking just the financial thing, I said, look, this guy is not going to understand it in any case, because, man, if I create a financial plan for 36 months with not a track record, what the hell is this? This is pointless. I'm going to do it for myself of what I understand, but then the future, it's going to be, you're going to understand even better the market. Maybe the product market fit is even better here, and you open a new business line, whatever, you don't know. So you are just, as I say, trusting you, not the thing, because there's nothing. So they can just understand you. Yeah. That's the thing. That's the power.
Yeah, 100%. I completely understand you. So you said, so you obviously amassed all of that knowledge, and then you moved into ad cities after speaking to your friend who Forbes on 30 under 30. And you bounced off each other. You had these ideas, and then that materialized. So talk me through. So from when you had the idea, what steps did you take? Because I'm sure there's lots of people out there who have these ideas. It may not be at this grander scale, but they may have an idea that this is I have a business idea. How do you take that from something that is just an idea to something tangible?
Really good, man. Really good question. I had, as you say, in Valencia, I was there 4 days. I had 4 or 5 business ideas. So having business ideas, I don't want to destroy anyone, but it's easy. Yeah. Okay, it's just it's the word. It's needed to have every single time you see problems, and then you can find a solution. So the magic is not there. That's like the thing that starts the fire inside your heart, but nothing more. The magic is when you put the balls on the table and you say, let's do it. Fuck it. And how? Well, it's a combination of timing. Like, my co-founder was in a good mood to do this because he was tired of his last job, and his last company was working alone without him, so he had more free time. I was really okay, I think I have learned everything in the business company. I don't want to continue because I'm not a good how can I say, I'm a founder, I'm a creator, not a continuous how do you say,
you don't want to run the company like
exactly. I don't want to run the company that already is
established
works without me. If the company it's going to be the same with me or without me, then I shouldn't be there.
You shouldn't be.
What's the point? Then
100%.
Fuck it. So first it's timing. Second, the idea, of course. The idea it's really important. But the most important one is to take, as I say, courage to say, fuck it. Let's
get the ball rolling.
Yes. So I said, Jaco, let's do this. I think it's a good idea. No idea about out of home, but I saw it a good idea. And he was like, do you think this is not already done in Spain? And I was like, no idea, but I can search in Google.
I can
so the first thing that I did, it was first we just have that lunch. My sister indeed it was in the middle of the conversation. And man, I just continue with my life. And 1 week later, he sent me a WhatsApp and said, man, let's do the company. And suddenly all the fire was like huge. Like, man, this guy was my mentor and now it can be my partner. Fuck it, let's do it. So that Sunday, I went to a Starbucks and I started to search first, what the hell is out of home advertising? So that was my level of knowledge, right? Zero. I just knew about GPS. So I started to see, what about putting vinyls on cars, if it was allowed, blah, blah, blah. I started to search random things. And I started to create my hypothesis to create the thesis, right? That it was like doing physics. Like, okay, I don't know anything. First of all, there's something like this. What about the market, like the terminology, everything. And after 2 days like that, I said, Jaco, nobody's doing this. We can do it. No idea if someone is gonna buy this, but at least
let's give it a shot.
In the US, let's do it. Fuck it, right? If it worked there, why not? Screw it, let's do it, right? And we started.
No, that's incredible. And again, like you said, it is just having the courage to start. It's if you stop worrying about a what if. That's the biggest thing. You can't have that what if. It's just go and do it. If you of course, like, this also comes from a position of having something to fall back on. I mean, not everyone.
Exactly. I mean, you need to have food, right? In the sense
it's you can't drop out of a job with no backup and just go, I'm going to go
of course,
into
you have to pay the bills, but
if you are in a position to
go
for it. Go for
example, I earned a lot of money while I was at King's because I invested. So all the money that my parents gave me, I didn't use it because I didn't went to clubs. I didn't eat in good restaurants. I just saved it up, and I invested it in through the Giro in many stocks, not in crypto, nothing like that. No. I just used knowledge. That was like gambling. No. I just was using my knowledge. Like, what the hell do I? What I'm good at? And I said, look, I'm good in tech things. So what about seeing tech companies and see the potential? And I invested in Tesla before the positive EBITDA, in NVIDIA in 2020.
Wow.
So I saw these
X20
companies.
Early,
Yes. And now the next one that I know in 3 years is going to be at times 10, and I put all my money there. It's Delivery Hero. It's the owner of Glovo and all these e-food companies. For example, I earned, I got money and I had money. So first of all. And of course, secondly, man, I had an industrial engineering degree. I was a smart guy, so I wouldn't have a problem to find a job. Who the hell? Or now or nothing, because in the future you're gonna have I don't know, maybe not a girlfriend but a child or something, or you have to take care of someone from your family. Now, at that time I could do it. I wanted to do it. Why the hell should I wasn't going to do it, so I did it. And I'm happy because of that.
Yeah, 100%. And I always say to people, like, your 20s especially, they're your years to grind. You don't have commitments, like you said, you don't have a wife and a kid and bills to pay. It's you, it's your brain, and it's the world. So you just go out and do whatever it is that you want to do. And so, yeah, again, I think that's the biggest learning for anyone listening. That is, you just have to go and do it.
And you know something, man? Mm-hmm. You know something? While I was recording podcasts, for example, in the NPO, in one of them, I talked about a guy that, of course, in England is so famous. You know, Richard Branson, right? The founder. And I was always imagining that one day I was going to go to him and to his house and meet him and everything. And man, I think the universe gives you back whatever you ask for, because if you are really pursuing your dream, and incredibly enough for me, this June I'm going to his house in British Virgin Islands. Yeah,
congratulations,
5 days.
Man. That's incredible.
Thank you, man. And I'm going with my saxophone. He asked me to bring the saxophone.
Yeah.
And it's a thing with 40 entrepreneurs from around the world. And so imagine, right? I was invited by a guy from our organization called Sigma Squared. It's the best founders under 26 in the world. I joined it like recently, like 2 days ago. Because I'm 25. And the president, basically in the European, because this is around the world, invited me to this thing. And Sigma Square, for example, is the main sponsor is Sequoia. It's the biggest capital firm for venture capital. The owners of Nvidia, Airbnb, WhatsApp, Instagram, YouTube, everything, right? So, and see it. 4 years later, I had this podcast, right? I mean, 4 years before this podcast, and suddenly I'm with the real guy that I wanted to meet. So I think that when you take the courage to do something, even though it looks crazy, but you really feel that this is gonna work. I really trust this. The universe like gives you like the present, like man, you deserve
100%.
it, you know. You had the balls.
And I'm a complete believer of that as well. Like, I don't believe that we live in a world where you can put so much effort out there and not get anything in return. It may not be immediate, but one day you will get the returns of that. And
it has to be focused, but yes.
Oh, 100%, It's not just, I want this, I hope I get it. It's, I want this, I'm going to try as hard as I possibly can. Because, of course, there are factors that are out of your control, but as long as you're doing as much as you possibly can,
and
you will get it back. 100%.
You have to be really creative in the business world. Each day I'm seeing that you have to be even more creative here than in physics. I love it because I thought that this was to be a disgusting world where everything is about money. No, to be honest, those guys, they will never be rich, because to be rich is a mindset. And to be rich is literally to be creative, to be good connecting with people, because you're authentic. You are not interested in them. You really spend a good time with them. You want to give something to the world. So that's the way to be.
No, 100%. And I've been, for anyone that, I'll leave the links anyway, but I've been seeing, of course, on Instagram, you've been promoting ad CCs a lot, and you've already started rolling out your ads on different vehicle fleets, and I think that's already incredible. And so, what have you got lined up in the pipeline? Anything notable?
Yes, I think we have 1 minute, right? Because this is gonna explode, right? I mean,
no, I think it should stay.
No, I saw your call ends in 3 minutes.
Here does it? Says, I can extend. There you go.
Yeah. What did you ask? Sorry.
I said. Oh, sorry. Give me a second.
That it's basically to put it to the end, right? So So if you want to do, I don't know, a final question or something.
Yeah. So yeah, basically it was just, yeah, so I mean, pretty much just a thank you, honestly, for coming on this, speaking about what you've gotten up to in your
Thank
podcast.
you so much.
And yeah, I think ultimately, this just serves as a reminder to everyone what you can achieve through just pure determination and going after what you want to do. And yeah, I will leave all of Manu's links in the description. I think it's an incredibly inspirational story of, going after things that you want and having that creative mindset. And yeah, just a massive thank you again for coming on and sharing your story, and I wish you all the best in the future.
Thank you, man. You too. And as I say, guys, just one tip from me. Yeah. Trust yourself, man, and trust the process and trust the universe, and you're gonna get it. So you're gonna make it. Just trust the world, okay? Yeah. Thank you so much. And
thank you, man.
And really have a good day.
Yeah. And yep, for everyone listening, thank you so much for listening. Again, I'll leave all of his links in the description. And yep, until next time, have a nice day.